You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this April 13th, 2020 evening. And Chris, we're in the month of April, and we're still on lockdown here, huh?
I know. Do people like this, by the way, that they can
I think they do. I think they like to see our
feedback?
Our tired, wearied faces at 12 midnight whenever we record this thing.
It's 12. Yeah, it's past 12.
I think people think I'm lying when I talk about the times that we record these shows, but we're
always 12.
If anything, I under exaggerate because I don't even realize how late it is. We finish at 2 o'clock sometimes, and I'm like, oh, it's only 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, did you? I don't know. I know you watch my Instagram. So did you see I split open my head?
I did see that. I saw blood, and I didn't even go into it.
I'm right here. I'm hiding
it. Or
do you remember the last time I split my head open?
I don't. Maybe
was it the Arnold Classic? Remember Susie had to glue my head together?
Oh yeah, what was that all about?
I did it the same way, except I was chasing my daughter today or 2 days ago rather, and at the Arnold I just bent down to get something, and I got the end of one of the nightstands, or where the TV stand is, got me cut me same spot. I think I have a blind spot somewhere that I don't know about. Maybe. That's funny. Then again, if it's a blind spot, I wouldn't know it's blind, right? Because I wouldn't. All I know is I just hit the chair, and usually if you lean over and you hit something, you're not going to cut your head open. So I must have not even seen it and just gone completely into it really hard.
That's probably vulnerable now.
Could
right? Be. It's like a boxer. It cuts easy from that same.
I guess. I don't know. It's kind of fucked up though. You think about it. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Let me see if I have my bloody headshot. Hold on. Only I could do this kind of stuff. You know what? I'd said at some point when I was a kid, because I was splitting my head open all the time, and I said, my dad was always like, "Because you're in a rush,"
My father used to say, "You're in a rush." My father always, his only advice is to give me a slow down, which is good advice.
Yeah, and he was probably right. But so at some point I said, "I'm done." After I hit an air conditioning unit, I was running through someone's backyard, and I lifted my head up and I caught it on the air conditioning. So I'm not cutting my head. I'm never doing it. And I went probably a good 30 years. A good 30 years.
3 decades.
I started doing it again. I don't know what's going on here. Let me see if I could. Hold on. Let me find this thing.
I thought you were auditioning for WWF. Right? It looks like somebody just clocked you over the head in WWF. Triple H.
Look, would you look at that? Would you look at that shot? It was bleeding. And I first hit it. Amanda's like, "Stop exaggerating." I'm like, "Oh," but I didn't even have to look. I knew. I felt. How you can feel. When you're bleeding, you can feel the blood come running down your head.
Yeah.
That was not even when it originally happened. That was after I was doing yard work afterwards, 2 hours later, and I was still bleeding. So I went in the pool today anyway, though. I wasn't giving up my fun in the pool.
The chlorine doesn't affect it?
I don't know. I figured the chlorine cleans everything. It should clean my head. What I do is before bed, I put Bacitrate, triple band antibiotic cream on it. I don't do it during the day.
Oh no!
And then I poured some. What's with the peroxide? Since we were kids, right? Everything peroxide, right?
Yeah, it was cheap. Peroxide was always cheap. My mother had tons of peroxide. Put it on everything.
I'm pouring it off my head and thinking it's going to kill everything. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if it's going to bleach. I'll probably have a bleach.
Of course it will.
Bleach.
Yeah, you wake up tomorrow and you'll be a blonde. You'll look like Jay in 2001 Olympia.
Yeah, I'll be like a skunk. I'll have a little streak down there. I'll have to streak the rest of the front of my head, my 3 hairs that I have there. So that's it. All right, the show's over. There's really nothing to talk about, right? As far as bodybuilding
we can talk about Jay's 2001 hair, not his side tricep. Look at that hair.
Yeah, you sent me a picture. Jay had put up on his Instagram. Let me see if I can find that picture. That was the show, for those of you who don't know, that people thought that Jay should have beat Coleman.
Well, the judges did. So, here I am 20 years later still.
Well, did he win prejudging? I think he did, right?
He only had one second place vote.
Right. Who gave him the second place vote?
I don't know, but he only had one after the highs and lows are thrown out.
And then Coleman came back and won somehow. But this was arguably his best look. Now you can see here he's got that young look to his body too. I mean, he's just everything's fresh, the muscle's fresh. There's no lumps and bumps and tears, and I thought that was it. The Coleman was done.
Yeah, so did he.
Because we thought he was invulnerable.
I
98,
did.
99, 2000. I didn't think you could be beaten. I said the only way he'll beat himself, the only way he'll lose is if he beats himself, I said. And he kind of did right? Didn't he say he drank like 2 gallons of water in the morning, like a retard, because he was cramping?
It don't matter.
It obviously didn't matter because he still won the show. Who else could have drank 2 gallons of water in the morning of prejudging and still? I mean, he didn't look terrible. He just didn't look, like he normally does. He
looked better in 01 than he did in 2000. That's in 99.
Well, 99 he looked ridiculous. I thought. You don't think he looked good in 99?
I think it's.
He was amazing. People thought that's his best look. 99.
You mean 98?
No, 98, 99. I've heard people say that they thought that was Ronnie Coleman's best those 2 years.
Yeah, 98 was his best. After that, he was.
Because 99, he was just a little bigger. He was still just as crazy looking.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was bigger. But bigger's not always better. Period.
Yeah, no. Then he had that off year 2 years in a row, right? 01 Arnold, everyone thought was I think people agree that was his best.
Yeah, that was probably his best.
And then I don't think he had trouble, obviously, for peaking for the 01 Olympia. And Sean Ray would say that Chad killed him, that year. But
Sean Ray, where's Sean Ray on RxMuscle? I told you that he's not well liked.
As far as what? No one likes him. We know that. I don't like him, but I still get him on once in a while to hear his opinions. It's a love-hate thing. So, what else did I? Oh, so did you hear the Junior Nationals is canceled?
When was that? I didn't want to predict it, but when was it supposed to be?
It's always in June. It's actually the Junior Nationals, Chris, is one of my favorite shows. I'll tell you why. I've had a lot of drama go on there too, though. Good stuff, mostly. But starting from when I did it for the first time in '95, and I won my class there, so that always was a good experience for me. And I remember ESPN covered it that year, and they had me demonstrating the poses. They interviewed me on TV. It was a big deal for me. But I always went back because it was like a nurturing ground for young talent. And I can't tell you how many guys that we discovered there and that got their start at the junior, including Phil Heath. That was his first breakout real show where people took notice of him, right? And then he did the USA right after that, in 05 and won.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was.
So, and it gets bigger every year. Yeah.
It gets more competitors every year.
It's in Chicago, so it's halfway between each coast. It's easy to get to. It's literally like 5 minutes from the airport. Very convenient. There's a lot of hotels around that area there, and it's a great show because the show's in the hotel. It's I don't know. It's a great experience.
It's where I met you.
Is that when we first met?
Yeah, with Dusty Hanshaw won the class at the juniors.
Oh wow! What year was that?
That was 2010, and I went to a real estate convention the week before.
Mm-hmm.
Right, my wife went, my kids went. We had a good
Oh, so you were there already?
No, it's crazier. I fly home, Dave, and 2 weeks later, I go back out to the Junior Nationals, and I don't look at so I land literally, and I look at the hotel, and I said, "Oh, that's the hotel I stayed at."
No way. Same
3
hotel?
weeks ago. Same room.
What?
Same
Wow.
room.
That's crazy.
How crazy is that? So I go to the juniors 3 weeks later, stay at the same hotel in the same room.
That's funny.
That's when I knew Dusty was going to win. I said, Dusty, this is too crazy. I was in this room 3 weeks ago.
Little did you know, really had nothing to do with Dusty. It was all the meeting of Chris Aceto and Dave Palumbo. That was it.
Yeah.
10 years ago. It's almost 10 years to the date.
Yeah.
So we have a 10-year anniversary coming up. So, but I like the show. Pam Betts puts on a great show, of course. There's, like I said, every class in the show. And I've just, like I said, I've had like some really good experiences there. I've seen some great people win that show, and it's fun because it's like no one's it's not that serious like it would be at the USA or Nationals, because at least in the men's open, there's no pro cards, and the other classes are. That's another story, another debate. But so everyone's there just because they love the sport and to try to, get noticed. And, when we competed back in the day, the Junior Nationals was like the first big show you do. You go there, the weigh-in. Remember, you go to the weigh-in. You have to look good for the weigh-in because the judges are all there kind of saying, who's the new talent over there? And it was a show, that you look forward to every year. And it's canceled. It's the first big show that we've had canceled. I mean, yeah, the Pittsburgh Manion show is canceled, but that's kind of like, on the amateur level, it's not really that big of a show. Juniors, Junior USA, Junior Nationals, those are two big ones, and they've been canceled. I'm really debating, or at least contemplating, whether the fact we're going to have a season at all, Chris. We might just have Nationals at the end of the year, if we're even lucky about that.
Well, I mean, we know this. I don't think any shows in July will be having audiences, will they?
I don't know if there's going to be any shows, Chris.
Well, hypothetical. I'm having a show in July. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. Whatever, some amateur show somewhere. Unless you're in the there's still 8 states that don't have social distancing. You can. Oh,
I didn't know that. Where is that? Yeah. Like Iowa?
South Dakota, Alaska? North Dakota. I think it's Arkansas.
Alaska.
Google it. No, there's 8.
Yeah, I know, but people are probably doing it anyway, though. There's social distancing where I am. But no one's really like enforcing it. Like someone was talking to me today, one of my clients who lives in the city, and they have a Whole Foods there. You know the Whole Foods we used to go to, like with the Weinberger show.
Yeah.
There's like a line 100 miles long because just to get into the store because of the 8, the 6 inches between every person. It's crazy.
6 feet.
6 feet or whatever it is. Yeah. So I don't know. It's wacky. It's wacky. I noticed that they're really, really pushing, and I've talked to a couple of people who've told me that they followed, and it's not my protocol, but I talked about it like probably first, the zinc and the quinine mixture for combating coronavirus.
Trump is recommending it now.
Yeah, no, he was recommending it too, but I had read, and it wasn't me. I didn't discover it.
I just made that up. Is Trump recommending it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's huge on that. He's huge on the 3 combination, the prescription version of the quinine, which is hydrochloroquine, mixed with the zinc, mixed with azithromycin, Z-Pak, because they find that also helps. But I had a few people who contacted me that they actually got the coronavirus. They used the zinc and tonic water combination that I suggested, because tonic water contains quinine, not a lot, but it's enough to make it help the zinc get in. And they said they had hardly any symptoms. It took a few days and they were over it. So that, is comforting. I had ordered some zinc. Excuse me. I have zinc already in the house, but I had ordered some quinine, from Amazon. It took a month to get it, but I ordered it back right in the beginning, because I knew that the tonic water, you have to drink a lot of the tonic water. And I knew that my family wouldn't be doing that. My kids are not going to drink tonic water, but I could sneak a pill into some yogurt for them. You know what I mean? So I bought quinine pills and I got it. And my mother-in-law, now all of a sudden, after I told her 2 months ago about this, she's like looking for the stuff. And she's like, "Where'd you get it?" I given her links, and she's like, "There's none left." I said, "Well, of course there's none left." So, but I actually have a connection, Chris, for hydrochloroquine or chloroquine. I'm not telling you where it's coming from, but I might start dealing again. It's the only chloroquine. Speaking of,
I'm skeptical that it works, but go ahead.
oh, it does, because the science is there. Look, zinc inhibits the virus from replicating. Zinc can't get, because it's positively charged, can't get into the cell.
Clorox does too, but you can't drink it.
Now, chloroquine it's a drug that they use.
Clorox.
Who's talking about Clorox? That's bleach.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just so skeptical.
It's the quinine opens up a channel for the zinc to get into the cell. We've known about this. I believe that's, a lot of people don't understand how quinine inhibits cramping, but I think the way it inhibits cramping, and I could be wrong, I think it just opens up the ion channel so that the electrolytes can kind of equilibrate themselves a little better or a little more quickly. And that's how it inhibits the cramping. So it makes sense. The science there. It's not going to kill the virus, but it will inhibit it from making more of itself. And that's how the virus does damage to your body, by replicating itself like crazy. And once it does that, then your immune system goes crazy and overreacts, and that's when you even get a further, problem. It's that once your immune system goes crazy and releases all the cytokines, that's when the lungs get damaged, believe it or not. It's not from the virus itself. It's from the virus making our immune system go insane. So the less viral particles in your body, because they can't replicate as well, the easier time your immune system has to eat this thing up. So,
did it hit you that we have more deaths in China and Italy combined?
Yeah, well, I knew that was going to happen. We have more people. So.
No, we don't. We compared to China, we have.
Oh, more than China. Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, China has the cure for it. I mean, plus, I think the truth is that China doesn't report all the deaths. I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think they dummy up the numbers. So, and they don't care. That's why they don't care if knock off a couple million old people. You heard that whole thing with the supposedly 20 million cell phone users in China just disappeared?
No, I did.
Yeah. They said, because every person has to have a cell phone in China, so they track you basically.
They do track you.
Yeah. But I'm saying that the people know they're tracked that way. That's just the thing. You have to have a cell phone. So all of a sudden, 20 million cell phone users went offline, like they just disappeared. So
they didn't want to be tracked, or they?
No, they're gone. They don't. They're not in service anymore. Speaking of which, I'm watching.
It goes back to the quinine and zinc. Had they had it?
True. Now, I've been speaking of which, people online. I've been watching a really good series. Have you seen Westworld? It's on HBO.
No.
I have to sneak at night. I watch like an episode while I'm working out, but. Maybe a half episode. You will love it. It's great. It's about you remember the movie Westworld back from Yul Brynner was in it?
Yeah.
About they designed like this these robots, and they make this Western world where people go on vacation, and the robots are like, they look like real people. And what happens is the robots slowly start to gain consciousness, something like that, and they start to do things they shouldn't be doing, and it gets dangerous. So they made a series based on, I think J.J. Abrams did it, actually. And HBO, I think it's a couple seasons. I don't know. Someone told me to watch this, so I started watching it. I didn't even know it. Anthony Hopkins is in it. He's amazing in it. He's like one of the inventors of these robots. And it's like the ultimate like fantasy, where like if you had to go on vacation, any guy watching this, and maybe some girls too, it's like the ultimate fantasy. I think it's $40,000 a day to go to this place. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like you can have anything you want basically at this. It's unbelievable, and the storylines you get involved in. And these people come back, very wealthy people, obviously going to these things. And I'm not going to even give you any more. Watch Westworld. You won't be
on my list. Am I sequestered or?
I've only watched 4 episodes, but I'll tell you, I'm hooked. I'm hooked on the series and I think Anthony Hopkins, even if he wasn't in it, I would still be hooked. But he adds another dimension to it because he's such a great actor. So check that out. All right, let me. I want to talk about my design of faith. Yeah, our friends over at my friends over at Physique Bodywear, who make some great clothing. T-shirts, tank tops. They used to do all my tank tops for me back in the day when I first started with Species Nutrition, because they're the only ones who were making string tank tops. You know, they were hard to get. I couldn't find them anyplace. So
you know who loves the string tank tops?
who?
Serge Nubret.
Oh, he does?
Oh, he loves to train in those string tank tops.
Oh,
He trains in them, yeah.
But in his day, they were around. Then they stopped making them. He started making those like wife beater ones, you know?
Dave, I'm dead serious. When he came to California from France, he couldn't find him, so he had to cut with scissors. He would cut.
Oh, he would make his own? Well, Physique Bodywear has made, Chris, these designer face masks. So you can, when you go out to the supermarket, instead of wearing those silly medical ones, which you can't even find them because they're being used in all the hospitals, you could use these little designer ones. And I got a little gift package from them. And if you use coupon code, here I'm going to go put a plug in this. Let me see if I can put the coupon code up so I can. It's RxM. You get 15% off. Hold on. Let me just put this up on the screen here so people can see it.
Order all 6, they'll throw in a bottle of quinine for free.
There you go. RxM for 15% off. Look, you know what? You buy a couple of them, you have them. Look, we're going to be wearing these things for a while, Chris. It's a joke, you know, in a sense, but it's really not, because to go anywhere, you're going to have to wear a face mask. A lot of states, it's mandatory. I don't know about you, where you are. What I find interesting is that the checkout people aren't wearing them where I go. I can't believe it. If I was a checkout person, I'd have one of these things on all day.
I know. Do they have the little plastic between you and them?
No, not here in Florida. I heard it's bad in Maine. What was my man was telling me something. What's going on in Maine? What's the new
snow.
rule?
She was concerned that
Snow, right? Did you guys lose electricity?
No, but it was Dave, it was the biggest snowflakes, just like a cartoon. They were like silver dollars.
Wow. How cold was it?
Maybe it's like 28 one night.
That's cold.
And the trees in my backyard collected, some of the older trees collapsed during the middle of the night.
So really?
Chopped them right down.
Wow. And I'm swimming every day. It was 93 today. 93 degrees, not the pool. Although I think my wife had the pool heated up hotter than that. It's like a bathtub. It's crazy.
Yes.
I don't know how you're doing it over there in Maine. Sell everything, Chris. Move to Florida.
Well, I wanted to sell everything. I just got to give it back to the bank now.
That's right. Yeah, you go another month, you might have to. Exactly. Holy shit.
Sell it. A month ago, I could have sold it. Now I have to just beg for it to keep it. Can I have it, please?
Now, what's going on with you? Did you notice that they had this whole relief package for businesses, and now they've been changing the rules like every day?
Yeah. They were going to have, what's it, the PPP plan, the Paycheck Protection Plan?
Yeah.
And
I thought I was going to get a lot of money for it.
Yeah, it was going to be forgivable, at least the payroll.
8 weeks payroll. 8 weeks payroll.
Yeah. So the rent and utilities was not forgivable, but the payroll would be.
The rent was originally up to 20% would have been. So whatever money you got, 20% of that could have been put towards rent. 25%. Sorry, 25%.
So now I hear people are getting like 10 grand.
Yeah, they changed the rules completely.
They're getting nothing. So
yeah,
I mean, what company has a payroll of 10 grand?
Yeah, exactly. It's a joke.
You know what you got to be in is airlines, because anytime what happens is the airline stock goes up, all the executives get executive compensation. They can sell their stock, right?
Yeah.
And then if there's a 9/11 or there's a pandemic, they go 1,000% out of business in like 3 days. And the government comes in and says, "Here's all the free money you'll need."
Yeah, because they can't shut down the airlines.
Yeah.
I have clients of mine who, just like young guys, and they're like, they get the $1,200, whatever it is. They give it every, people. I mean, you and I won't get it because we make too much money, but these guys are going out and he's like, "Oh, got my GH money in the mail." I said, "Well, at least you're putting it to good use, right? You're not spending it on toilet paper or it's funny. I went to the supermarket and I actually had toilet paper there. I actually got to think about it. I didn't even need it. I bought it anyway because I figured might as well have it. I bought the toilet paper because they didn't have the paper towels I needed. I'm running low on paper towels now because I use them for the snakes. But I'm looking possibly to put up an eBay ad. I got toilet paper willing to barter for paper towels.
Why not?
right? I could trade off.
We'll probably become a barter society if nobody has any jobs. So you probably could pass off.
I'll be to go fishing in my backyard. I'll be selling the fish out of the stream.
Trade fiberwise for like gasoline for your Mercedes.
That's right.
There you go.
There you go. It's a good thing all my fruit trees are producing this year. I got mangoes, avocados.
That's the good thing about Florida. You got a whole, right?
My orchard, I'm actually seeing some stuff. Last year we had a small yield, but this year some of the stuff is really good. Blackberries.
Chickens or you don't want to. No desire to get any chickens in the backyard. Kids would love them.
You know what? The chickens, shit. Okay, my wife's like, "Oh, we could have had eggs." I'm like, you know what? I actually, I love animals. I don't care about shit. For some reason, I'm not that into birds. I like parrots, like cool parrots, stuff like that, but they're very noisy. But the chickens, I'm thinking to myself, I go to the supermarket for $3. I get 18 omega-3 eggs. I'm like, do I really want to feed these chickens? Yeah. And you know what? The chickens start digging up the plants and stuff like that. Then I gotta have a coop, and then I gotta change. I hate cleaning bird shit. It's the nastiest fucking, because it's like birds don't like have like a solid poop. It's like liquidy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know because my wife was on this whole chicken. Amanda was on the whole chicken thing for a while. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want a chicken coop. Can I put like some outdoor like snake enclosures or something like that? Those would be a lot cooler than fucking chickens. Then I gotta get a rooster, and I got a rooster. There's a rooster next door to me who's fucking every fucking 5 in. I got a woodpecker on the fucking telephone poles trying to make a house out of it, pecking away. I thought that was a joke. I didn't know I thought Woody Woodpecker was like, it was like an animated, like, funny thing. The fucking thing looks just like the fucking Woody Woodpecker, and it's freaking just as noisy.
Very loud.
This thing, Chris, this woodpecker, hollowed out a telephone pole to make a little nest area for himself, like 100 feet up in the air.
In your house.
I videotaped him. I got him on video doing it. I couldn't believe it. Thank God he stopped. Finally, he must have made a big enough nest for him. This thing was driving me crazy every morning. He would do it for hours. I don't know how does their beak, think about the force necessary for a beak to break through like a solid piece of wood.
Only you would think of that.
Right? But think about the evolutionary, modifications that you need to have to slam your head against a fucking piece of wood and chop it and carve it out.
It's true. Right? No, it's like, water damage. Just on I have a gutter that's missing on my garage. And I've been trying to replace it for like 4 years, and the water's dripping down into like a concrete path. And there's like a 6-inch divot in the concrete now, just from water. So you can imagine the woodpecker. Yeah, but water is the force of nature. Woodpecker is fucking flesh and bone. I don't know. So I get a... Woodpeckers in the 90s were better than these woodpeckers. Yeah, much better. They was way more ripped too. No, I got an email from Big Lenny is living in it's his birthday coming up, by the way. Big Lenny is living in this guy's house, Aladdin. I don't know what the relationship is. But Aladdin obviously has money, and he's letting Big Lenny live there. And Aladdin built this gym for Big Lenny. He bought all this equipment and everything like that. So Lenny is all hooked up. He's got his own place to live, free. He's training. So that Aladdin contacted me because it's going to be Big Lenny's birthday party or something like that. And can you believe this drama, Chris? And they want to come down to this. He's like, Big Lenny and I really want to come down to the studio and do another interview with you. About what? They just want to, because all the fans would love Big Lenny. They want to what do they like about him? They love him. They love Big Lenny. And so they want to come down and do another interview. Remember the last time they came down, my neighbor called the police. Yeah. The neighbor I don't get along with. Yeah. You want to know the irony of that? His daughter was his stepdaughter. You mentioned this last week, Dave. Yeah, the stepdaughter is cleaning my snakes now. So she's an employee of yours. Yeah, which is I find very funny.
But anyway, so Big Lenny wants to come back. Aladdin said that Big Lenny and him want to come to the studio, and I had to explain to him. I said, "Look." Oh, and he even threw in that they're COVID negative. I don't know how they know that, but I said, "Look, there's no way I'm exposing you two guys, not only to me and my producer Tyler, but to my wife. She'll never go for it anyway. But I wouldn't even ask her because I don't want you guys in the studio. Not that I don't like you guys, but."
But they say, well, Dave will interview 6 feet and 2 inches apart.
If they were 60 feet away from me, I wouldn't interview them. I said, I can't risk it. I said, I can't have you. Can we do it during Skype, over Skype? So hopefully we'll arrange that. I love to have him. I get a kick out of, Big Lenny and all his antics and all of this going on. And I know that he's been having some problems and doing GHB and passing out. I think he's doing well now since Aladdin brought him into his house there. And I don't know if they have some kind of a physical relationship or if it's just friendship or I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to find out. I'm going to ask him all these questions. So, but it is Big Lenny's birthday. So happy birthday, Big Lenny. Who else's birthday is it? Isn't there someone else's birthday coming up? Someone else just said they had a birthday. Did you see I think I lost Chris. I always lose him in the middle of this broadcast. I don't know why. Now I got to wait for him to come back. I'm getting rid of him. I'll just talk to you guys alone till Chris comes back. He always has problems in the middle of the broadcast. I know it's not me. It's got to be him because I'm still broadcasting here. So anyway, Big Lenny. So he wants to come down to the studio, and I like to get Big Lenny down there because I like to delve into his psyche. And I like to find out what's going on. I remember when he came the last time, I wanted to help him get his waistline down. And I thought he was going to listen to me. I had a whole protocol laid out for him. And I never heard from him again. Now, all of a sudden, he's back. So hopefully, I can get him on Skype, find out what's going on with him. We can, because if that guy gets COVID, forget about it. He's a dead duck. He can barely breathe now. I worry about myself getting it. And I'm like healthy. I do. If you saw what I do when I get back from these shopping trips I go on, first of all, I park the car in the sun. And if I buy paper towels or whatever I leave it out in the sun unless it's food. So the sun can cleanse it because, heat kills the thing. I go into the house. I wash my hands. I wash my face. I usually go take a shower. I take my clothes off. I throw them immediately into the washing machine because I'm paranoid. But then it's the oral cavity that gets infected first. Now I have a mask on, so I don't know how it's going to get there. But if it slipped in by accident, I get a glass of water and I pour salt in it, a lot. You don't even need a lot of salt. I mix it up and I gargle with salt water that's probably saltier than the ocean. Because salt water, because if you kill it in your throat, it can't make its way down to the lungs. And I go through this whole ritual because I'm not even worried about myself. If anyone in my family gets COVID-19, it's going to be my fault. So I have the guilt trip. So I can't do that. I go through this process every time. I bring Windex in the car. I spray Windex on my hands. When I get out of the store. I Windex my wheel. Oh, here's Chris. I'm talking about my detoxification protocol that I use when I get out of this. When I leave the supermarket, I get home. Mm-hmm. I go through this whole
give me the advice
whole process of cleansing myself.
I go to the groceries. The minute I leave the house, I feel sick because I just it's in my head. But
yeah, I would.
What happens is you have kids at home, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why you turn into a psychopath.
Yep.
I go and I hold the grocery cart by the 2 fingers or paper napkins and
where I live, they actually sanitize the carts for you before you get them. I don't believe I lost you again, Chris. Chris, the technician, is having technical problems today, evidently. All right, I'm getting rid of him again. He's crapping my style here. I can talk to you guys. I don't need him on the podcast, slowing us down. Anyway, so that's my decontamination. I do, And you guys should do the same thing, because you know what? It doesn't hurt. You're better off doing the little decontamination, and then you could always, not have that paranoia hanging over your head. I was in the store. I was going to tell a story before. I was in Sam's Club, big, huge, shop. It's like Walmart owns it. It's like a Price Club. And I had my mask on, not my physique bodywear yet. I only was using the medical ones. I hadn't got it yet. And I was starting to have a breathing problem in the store. And I realized, and I was having trouble seeing. I was getting dizzy. Things were getting blurry. So I said, well, I didn't eat anything this morning. I wonder if I'm just get low blood sugar. I'm like, I don't really feel low blood sugar. I was having a panic attack. Because I say nothing bothers me, but obviously what happens, I internalize it, and then it manifests in these physical, manifestations. And I know a lot of you guys probably experience the same thing. That's why I'm telling you this. So I started panicking. I started, look, calm down. You're not leaving the store. You got to buy all these groceries. Okay. You got the list. You're bringing home all the groceries. If you leave the store now, you're going to have to come back in. I'm not doing it. So I talked myself down. I said, relax. If I would have had access to a glass of wine, I would have drank it probably right there, because that would have calmed me down. But you get this mask on, you got all these people walking around you. It's like the night of the living dead. I think I'm like there's a plague. Probably no one in the store even has it, but there's a lot of people in the store, and no one's near each other. But it is what it is. It could be in the air, and that's natural. If you don't think you're going to feel a little crazy, you will. And if you ignore it like I do, you manifest it in a panic attack. So I talked myself off it, and I was fine. But be aware that that's a real possibility that it could happen again. All right. I just told Chris, people, I don't know what you're going on with your connection over there, but I just finished telling everyone, explaining to people that I had a panic attack in Sam's Club the other day with the mask on. And I'm in denial of the fact that I'm actually a little stressed out about, possibly contracting this thing when I go out in public, even though I claim I don't give a shit, but I did. So,
well, what happens is you go out and then you see everybody with a mask,
right,
and then at the grocery store, and then you see everybody where I am actually following at least 6 feet from each other.
True.
And then you start thinking in your mind, like, okay, I find myself like holding my breath at the grocery store.
I think, then that's another thing. You can definitely go into a panic attack if you're not breathing too.
So it's
it's a real thing,
It's it's every additional day with the bad news, and every additional day with the reality of it just sinking in is another rung lower psychologically on people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel bad for people because luckily I'm in a situation where financially, I took a little hit, but it's not hitting me that hard. I'm still able, I make good money, pay my bills. My life hasn't really changed much. I have a very big piece of property here. I have a pool, I have a compound. I don't have to leave, except to get some supplies once a week. So for me, it's not bad, but I feel bad. There's people losing their job. I know someone who lost their job. I don't even know why they lost their job. The guy works for AT&T. He's like a sales training manager. They fired him. He's like, I said, why would they fire you? Even if business is low now, what are they going to do when business picks up again? He's like, they'll hire someone at half my salary. That's that's a good excuse. A lot of these big companies are using this as an excuse to get rid of people so they can lower their salaries and hire new people. I said, but they're going to get people with no experience. He goes, they don't give a shit. Because they don't give a shit. They just want to save money. So I feel bad for those people who lost their jobs. I feel bad for guys who are bodybuilders who don't have access to gyms, although a lot of guys do. And I feel bad for people who maybe don't have access to the food they need. I have a couple of clients down in Panama. Food's becoming now scarce. Once they take the food away, Chris, the government, and they have to bring you the food, we're done. The society's over.
Did you see that one of the biggest pork producing places shut today?
Oh, really? Why is that?
Out of, I think it's like 500. Half the workers have coronavirus.
Oh, really? Wow. That sucks.
Ironically, it's in a state that's not practicing social distancing. Or actually, I take that back. It's in a state where the governor has said or not said, we got to step it up. We got to
Right.
shut everything down.
Really? What state was that?
South Dakota.
Really? Interesting. See, maybe they should have shut it down.
Well,
I heard is there a lot of cases out by you?
I think 500. Well, here's the problem, Dave. There's 500, but you can't get a test. So how many are there really?
Right. I heard that they're diagnosing. I think the death toll though is blown up from what I understand, because what they're doing is every time someone dies now, you can come in with stage 4 cancer. You come into the hospital, and if you die, COVID-19, died of COVID-19. Every death they're attributing to that, from what I understand. All right. I interviewed on some bodybuilding news. Let's get to some bodybuilding news here.
Oh, bodybuilding show. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I interviewed Chris Bumstead and Ian Valier. Chris Bumstead, obviously, classic physique Olympia champ. Ian Valier, big freaky guy. Ian does Chris's diet. Ian is married to Chris's sister. So they're brother-in-laws. It's a very incestuous relationship there they have. But they have their own little, they got access to a gym, so they're able to train in the basement. They bought a bunch of equipment there. They're all set. I said, you guys are probably getting better workouts in with free weights now than you probably were doing in the gym. We're using all the machines. He goes, we are. We definitely are. So that's kind of cool. And, I went through, we just talked about what it was like, what they're doing, I was asking Ian also about, it's interesting because Ian coaches Chris, right? But Ian has his own coach, Patrick Tour. He started working with. I think he worked with Matt Jensen before that. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, why do you need a coach? You know what you're doing. And you know what? He gave me a good answer. He's like, I'm the worst person at it. Like I'll think I have a half a pound of fat to lose and I got nothing to lose and I'll over diet myself to death, And he drives Melissa, his wife, Chris's sister, crazy, and she's like, she can't take it because the guy's a nutcase, because sometimes if you're so into being perfect and, you're such a technician, no pun intended, you could make things worse a lot of times if you over diet or overthink things. So sometimes it's a good idea to have a coach, even though you are a coach. Make sense?
Well, I mean, I think self-mastery in anything is remarkably something difficult to do. So how to prep yourself, I mean, there's a lot of variables. Sure. And you would have to be super in tune with your own body. And then the odd part of that is if you get super in tune with your own body. Right. Which is hard to do. So it's hard to prep yourself. But if you do get super in tune, you may get so in tune with it that it can teeter-totter either way. In other words, you could do one thing thinking, I'm so in tune with it, it goes the whole other way. Sure. No, you're right. It's counterintuitive. No, it's human nature, Chris. Someone sent me a friend of mine, one of my clients also, sent me this video. I guess a friend of his had this, competed in the 1997, I think it was, Emerald Cup. The Emerald Cup is one of the longest running and biggest shows in the country, amateur shows, not pro qualifier. It's in Seattle, Washington. Brad and Elaine Craig have been running it since the beginning. I think they're at 35 years or something like that on the show. And I've guest posed, done seminars. I've been there a million times. But I think it was the second year I was out there. It was 97. I guest posed. And I didn't know this, but I guess they had videotaped the show with, how they always do a video of the show. And then one of the kids who was in the show had the video of me guest posing. And so this friend of mine had seen it and he videotaped like a TV screen. It was terrible quality, but hopefully they're going to get me a digital copy of it because it was originally on a VCR or VHS tape and it was converted to DVD. And so they're going to try to get me a digital copy. Chris, I looked at this thing. I'm like, talking about peaking and being your own coach, because I was always my own coach. If I would have competed looking like I did at this guest posing, full of the house and rep,
I would have won Night of Champions probably. Yeah. So I was impressed with how I looked, which is amazing because usually I think I look terrible. Yeah. I'm very critical because I was full. I was ripped, full. I don't think I was probably 8 weeks out from competing at a show or something like that. And you know what happens when you're 8 weeks out. For me, I was probably could have competed at 8 weeks out, and I overdieted every single time, because I just felt I needed to be crazy, ridiculously grainy hard. So I think a lot of shows I came in too flat, which probably wasn't a bad thing because it made my shape a little better, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Sometimes when you fuller, right, through the pecs and shoulders, that improves.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. There was 2 shows. This guest pose I look really good at, but there was one show I guest posed. It was after, I think it was 2000. I guest posed in Erie, Pennsylvania. My friend Brian Hoydick's show, and I believe it was like 2 or 3 weeks after a show, and I don't know if it was the North American or the USA. And Gary Udit was their head judge, and I guest posed, and I knew I looked good. I don't know why I just looked like a freak. I looked like a freak at the show. And when I got off stage, Gary Udit came up to me, and Gary is, hey, what's up?
Yeah, he don't care.
He said, if you ever look like, he goes, if you look like this on stage, he goes,
you'd win.
No one would beat you. He goes, this is the best I've ever seen you. He's like, what'd you do? I said, I don't know. I said,
yeah.
I don't know.
I ate and I rested.
Yeah, exactly. And it's true. What I would do is after a show, I would stay on like maybe 200 milligrams of testosterone for like 2 weeks or something like that.
You probably have actually less true water retention. Yeah. Right? From being, so you're surprisingly.
Because I was off the drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. But you still get the roundness of being on stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Because it was still.
And you rested and your glycogen stores are full. It's like the perfect storm.
There wasn't a piece of, like, you couldn't pull a piece of skin off my body. I mean,
you have that video.
No, I don't. I wonder if there is a video from that. I wish I even have a pic. I got to ask Brian if there's any pictures from that show.
It's got to be. Someone's got to have pictures.
But yeah, that was the only. Gary gave me. I never got a compliment from Gary like that before. So I must have looked really good because he took the time to come up to me and tell me that.
What year was it? 2001?
It was 2000 or 2000. It was like 2000, 2001, right in that range somewhere. I have to ask Brian if there's any pictures from that show because that was really before people really had a lot of cell phones, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a very small show. It was like the first year they held the show, but it was, it was fun.
Probably full as a house.
Oh yeah, I was.
You love being full as a house.
But I was tight. Like my waistline was tight.
Yeah.
Everything just looked good.
That's what I said. You have round to the shoulders right? You probably pecs and shoulders are full, so your midsection look.
Yeah, but how you get that form? It's almost impossible to get that down. That's a fluke. If you look like that on stage once in your career, you're lucky. I mean, everyone hits it once time. You're like, it's like we showed 01 Jay Cutler. I mean, everything worked perfectly, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's not that he was any better or worse after that. It's just you guys timed it perfectly for that show.
Yeah, we went for sushi a week out. We did.
I'm sure the sushi didn't throw him off too much. Right?
Sushi, ice cream.
I was eating fucking McDonald's every day.
Hey, that's the key. I'm serious. A week out. This was what? How many weeks after the Nationals? 2?
2 or something like that.
Okay, well, we timed it a week.
Yeah. So to get back to the question at hand, is it worth having a coach? So I guess maybe I should have hired you. If you would have coaching me, maybe I would have had I would have won
but it could be the Bob Gruskin special.
George Farrell tells people that he coached me one year.
Of course he did. Which year? Which year? He does, right?
No, he does. He said, "No, I coached you." I said, "You didn't coach me. You told me to tell people that. So you said you were going to get me a better placing." That's what he told me.
How's that? Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Oh my God, the craziness in our industry. So it's good to see that these guys are still training. Like I said, I like Chris. I think Chris is going to be that classic physique Olympia champ for a couple of years at least. His health seems to be good now. You know what? Ian and Chris admitted that he only uses like 500 milligrams of testosterone a week. Never goes over that. He's on very low drugs. Because
it gets too big. It gets
too big, but also he's got that IgE nephropathy, disease, and so he just doesn't need a lot of drugs.
Everyone's gonna say, "Oh, so full of shit."
Yeah.
I saw Dave Palumbo with that idiot Chris. I was his biggest fan until
right. they were pretty honest. I believe him. I completely believe it. But who cares? You don't have to believe it if you don't want to. You could tell his body doesn't look like he's on a lot of drugs. He's just got a genetic freaky frame and structure, you know? And when he hits that vacuum pose and hits the double bicep pose, he just, that's his frame, you know? The kid probably looked like that when he was, 20 pounds lighter. He probably still looked, he had that same structure. And people probably said, oh, if you put 20 pounds on, no one will beat you.
Yeah. So. Look, he won the North Americas in the Open.
Yeah. And I asked him, I said, would you ever, if you didn't have if you didn't have this disease or, because I think he's only 24 still, 25. I said, do you ever consider going to the Open class? He's like, well, I don't want to push my body at this point. There's no reason. He was like, I feel comfortable in this class. Mm-hmm. But I get, maybe if he didn't have that, if he didn't have that disease, maybe it would be a different answer. I don't know.
How do you feel about the Olympia? Maybe, just the whole ambiguity or the uncertainty of.
He's like, well,
September's very soon. I mean, we're in May.
I was talking to I interviewed Dennis James also this past week. Good interview, by the way. You guys got it. I don't know if we put it up yet. I haven't even checked. I don't think so. Great interview. And Dennis, made a good point. I asked him about the Olympics. I said, why don't they just hold it like in a nice like hotel conference room and just live stream the thing? We don't even need an audience there, just so that they can say they have the Olympia. He's like, Dave, who's putting up the prize money? He's like, who's going to sponsor this thing? There's no expo. I said, well, maybe Jake would. He just bought the Olympia. Maybe he'll put up all the prize money. He did it for the women's bodybuilders last year, for the last, for many years.
Does DJ think it's going? What's his opinion?
He doesn't think it's going to happen. I don't think he thinks the Olympia is going to happen.
How long?
I don't see it.
It's 50-50. They're working their ass off to try to have it, but it's not that. It's got nothing to do with them.
But Dennis made a good point because Dennis had to cancel a show. He's like, Dave. He goes, I got no sponsors. Who's going to sponsor the show? I said, you're right. Can the Olympia be held without sponsors? I don't know. No. It's too expensive.
Not the
way they held it.
Well, the men's, the classic. I mean, can it be?
I mean, if Jake Wood wants to put up $1 million in prize money, I mean, I guess they can hold it.
It still costs more than that.
Well, I'm just saying in prize money.
Yeah.
Someone will still sponsor like the live stream or something like that. I mean, I guess Aaron will put up some money for it. Sure. So you could say it's his.
I don't know.
You can sell the advertising on the live stream. There's not going to be an expo, obviously, but it is the Olympia. People are going to watch. Everyone's going to watch it. So
maybe they push it to late November.
Well, let me ask you this question: when the Super Bowl's on TV, how do they make revenue? They don't have booths at the Super Bowl. Yeah, they sell tickets to the stadium. I understand that. But there's only so many tickets. Stadium costs money. All the people who work there cost money. They get sponsors who sponsor the TV commercials, right? Mm-hmm. So why can't they sell television commercials, for the live stream like they do for TV? Put them at a premium. You want a commercial on the Super Bowl bodybuilding? It's going to cost you $10,000. I don't know. There's got to be some sort of a business model there. I can't imagine Jake buying this Olympia his first year and not holding the Olympia. That would be terrible. I'm sure the AMI guys are probably licking their chops since David Pecker is looking like a genius that he sold the thing right before this corona. I wonder if he knew about it. You think he knew about coronavirus before he sold the Olympia?
When did he sell it?
He sold it right around, at the end of the year?
No, because no one really knew about it till.
Well, who knows? We don't know. We don't know who knew about it.
Yeah.
I bet you Bill Gates knew about it.
Yeah, you're big into that conspiracy Bill Gates thing.
I'll bet you that Donald Trump knew about it too. I bet you he knew of it. I don't think anyone expected it to be this bad, but who knows? Well, Trump is friends with Pecker, right?
Yeah, he has to be friends with him to get the Jeff Bezos dick pics when he needs them.
Yeah, all those people have a lot of money or all know each other. How Body, how Body was text message DJ, you text message Jay.
Right. Yeah, of course.
These guys all communicate with each other. Come on.
Yeah, to some degree.
They're all cronies, even though they might not like each other. Look, that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
They're in their own little elite club.
Yeah, no, I'm speechless because I've been saying all along 50-50 with the inclination that the show will go off. And then I thought, well, they'll change it to late November. But
Yeah.
how do you have the show if you have no money? That's the best point.
DJ made a very good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I was thinking the show doesn't cost anything to run. Just hold it, right?
Yeah.
Do it in my backyard, right?
Yeah. Just to fly people out, the hotels,
right?
The rental of the facility.
If anything, they may have to just hold the Olympia, just the men's open, like the old days.
What if they do an emergency and have to move it?
Why not? Does it matter where they hold it?
No.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Put it at the Beacon Theater in the city.
Yeah, hotspot.
Well, it might not be a hotspot by September. That might be
you may have to go out to South Dakota or North Dakota or somewhere.
No, South Dakota, North Dakota, those are going to be all places that by September that will have coronavirus. New York will be over it already by then. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah,
Kamal. I was just thinking Kamal looks incredible. He looks incredible right now.
Of course.
That's.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tell because we're still, people forget we're really not that far. What is it, a month now? I mean, we're really not that far into this thing. So,
dude, we that's the point.
They say they hit a pinnacle. They said it hit a peak already.
I know, but
I don't know if they're lying.
The bullshit that's come out, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
The bullshit that they were telling people don't wear masks. Now it's you better wear a mask.
Yeah.
That's nice to know after people.
Well, at first it was 2 weeks they were closing everything for, right? Remember? I said there's no way they're closing everything for 2 weeks. I knew that. Yeah. That was like laughable. That was to get people not to panic, right?
Yeah, that's my point. The whole point was it is what you're being told is not kosher for the health of people. Just the idea that no one was told to wear masks and now they were told to wear masks.
Well, why do you think that is?
Because people would panic.
Right.
And instead of leveling with people,
100%.
They just watered the shit down and told people don't wear, so people don't panic, don't wear masks. Now, the pork plant is shut. So what's next? The beef plant is shut. I'm serious.
Well, if you don't have workers, they're not closing it because there's like no food. Here's the problem.
It doesn't matter. That's the whole point there.
If they're doing it,
hold on. It does not matter the fact that that's the point, because people get lost in, well, they're closing it because they don't have workers. The impact is the same.
No,
you don't have food.
Right. But if they're closing because they don't have workers, ostensibly people will get over it and they'll be able to go back to work. It doesn't last 6 months, the virus. It's like 14 days.
I know, but look at just say this.
Yeah.
Of course they go back to work, maybe at some point. But let's say, this is a Monday morning at 1 a.m. right now. So the pork plant closes on Sunday, beef plant closes on Tuesday. Do you know how much panic that causes?
Sure.
Including in your household. Can you imagine you wake up tomorrow and Amanda said, oh my God, not only did the pork plant close, the biggest beef plant closed. She's sending you out with with a mask to the Kroger's, and you're buying every single piece of beef
Right. Well, you know what? Here's the problem. Once, and like I said, I don't want to get into conspiracies because I'm trying to believe that it's not a conspiracy. But if it is a conspiracy to control us and to keep us, locked away in our houses so they can do whatever they got to do, once they start limiting the food, that's when you're going to see people go nuts. That. And the government's like, don't worry, we'll drop food off your front door. Well, once they start apportioning the food out to people will lose their fucking mind. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't believe that's where it's going.
Where we got into this is in the context of the Olympia, where it seems like people think that it's far off. It is a blink from now.
So, absolutely. That's why, you're right.
at some point, people got to decide, am I getting ready for the show? I'm qualified. Am I getting ready for the show? I mean, middle of May, June, July, August, September. Middle of May, you have to put your foot on the gas. I mean, you got to be mentally all in. And you're somewhere in the world where you're mentally all in and you're not supposed to be going to the gym. I mean, there's people who can go to the gym. They have friends who.
Yeah. All the top pros definitely have abilities to get to the gym. Look, Steve Weinberger moved the show New York Pro to August 9th. I have to believe he made that decision, not because that was the first date they had available to move but because he spoke to someone who knows something. You know what I mean? Steve is a smart guy. So August might be the first
that's
chance.
Nobody knows nothing.
But like you said, it could change. So my belief is that if the season does get started in the beginning of August, let's say, for real, we'll have, 5 or 6 qualifiers before the Olympia. And they'll have to invite, the rest of the people. And the Olympia may come off. The problem is that, like Dennis pointed out, that even if the season is open and people are able to go out in public again, number one, will anyone go see the show? Because they want, and number two, will any supplement company step up to the plate and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to have a booth at the Olympia, even though there's been no season?
I think the answer to both is no.
Yeah, and that's going to be the problem. The problem may be that the season's not viable because of the fact that businesses have been hurt by what's going on. Rich Gaspari told me he was hurting from it, when he interviewed me.
There's no insulating yourself. There is no insulating yourself from 17 million people being laid off.
No, sure.
That's
everyone relies on everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's just, unless you're selling coke or, you're in the prostitution business.
Yeah.
Even that's got to be suffering now, right?
Yeah, if you're a prostitute, I don't know if I want to be,
even that's social distancing.
Yeah.
A
hand job at a distance. Yeah, exactly. You have to use a reacher.
So it's there's no escaping economically from it. So all companies, what, crazy as it sounds, I heard, I live in a small area and there was a AM radio company, a family owned radio. They have AM radio stations. Mm-hmm. They've been in business since the heyday of AM radio.
Right.
And they're still surviving and flourishing. You always hear AM radio.
Yeah.
Coronavirus. Advertising to zero.
Wow.
So the local, the bakery, the local,
sure.
whoever advertises on these shows, from country talk show, country music,
right.
Political talk, all of them went to zero. Not necessarily so either they went out of business or their business is suffering, and the first thing they do is, let me cut ads.
Well, look at these late night shows. They're doing the shows from their house. These guys, our setup here on Heavy Muscle Radio probably looks better than their setup is.
Do they have radiators in the background?
Oh shit! A lot of people have been asking me what they should do. I'm one of these people that are not bored. I got a ton of things to do. I wish I had some extra time freed up by this whole, quarantine, but I don't, because my schedule is exactly
the only time, Dave, you get free time is when you go into surgery.
Yeah. When I'm in the hospital or if I have to go on an airplane. Yeah. So anyway, and I'm not going on any airplanes anytime soon. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. For all you guys listening, this is how we're going to end the show. I'm going to give you a final bit of advice. Use this time that you're down to educate yourself. What you educate yourself on is entirely up to you. However, if you're into bodybuilding and you want to make a career out of bodybuilding, devour every bit of information that you can get at your disposal. Yeah, I don't have my guru course. I'm not holding my guru course, obviously, because I can't have people come and see it. A lot of people have asked me, would you two do it online? Well, if this goes on long enough, I might have to, but I have an app, and I'm not saying, I'm just giving this as an example. I'm not saying that I'm the only game in town. I have an app, the Dave Palumbo Experience. You can go to your Android or iTunes store. You download this app. It's all the articles I've ever written, all the videos I've ever done. We do a workout every week we put up on the thing. I answer everyone's questions in a public forum there, meaning that I answer everyone's questions, but everyone gets to see everyone else's questions and answers. That is a huge learning tool. I also do a Q&A video exclusively for the app every week. If you guys want to start educating yourself and learning the science of diet and supplements and drugs and all the stuff that goes along with bodybuilding and training, you got it. That's a great, valuable resource that's constantly being updated every single week with new stuff. And you can keep yourself and your mind sharp and learn. Maybe this is something you wouldn't have time to do normally, but you're home. You have to devote a certain amount of time to learning every day. So we talk about Chris's kids are in homeschool. You got to homeschool yourself on what you want to be an expert in, okay? And if you want to be an expert in bodybuilding and in the fitness world, you have to use resources like mine. And I'm not saying mine's the only. You might want to sign up for John Meadows app, training app, or whatever. Take so and so's online course. I don't know. There's other stuff out there, but my point is, don't waste this time. Pretend you're in jail. Use the time productively so that when this all breaks open again and everyone goes back to doing what they're doing, you emerge with an edge over everyone else because you spent the time productively. Don't just sit around playing video games, feeling sorry for yourself and eating bonbons because you don't have a gym to work out at and you can't go to the supermarket, and get the exact food that you want. Use the time productively. Chris, I'd like to hear your positive message also, because I don't want to, because we complained and whined the whole show. I want to leave on a positive note.
The fundamental of learning is reading. The fundamentals of learning is reading. I always encourage my kids to, and I make them read about things that they like, but also things that they don't like, have no interest in, because you might pick up on something, or you might find something interesting in a realm in which you think you have no interest. My kids complain, and this is for everyone. My kids complain, I read a lot. I said, no, you don't. You read snippets. That's not reading. You're reading bullshit. I said, I mean books. Well, I have tons of books in my house on so many different topics. Some of them I've never even cracked open. Just like pick them up at a used bookstore and say, I'm going to read this sometime. But
do you still sell your book, by the way?
Which one? My bodybuilding books?
Yeah.
I'm down to the last one here.
Oh.
Before the bank comes and takes my house and my real estate.
Why don't you sell those books someplace?
I sell them on Amazon.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think they might be sold out. Championship Bodybuilding and everything you need to know about fat loss.
Right.
I think they may be sold out because they're not replenishing things that are not considered essential.
Oh. So you sell two.
I look for the GH. I get the stimulus check like everyone else, and I look for the GH on Amazon, and they didn't have it either.
You sell the books to Amazon, then they
to Amazon. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so there's another great resource. Read a Chris Aceto book.
Read my book and pick something that pick a self-help book, a business book, a
Wayne Dyer book.
I was just gonna say Wayne. I was gonna say a spiritual book, and I was gonna say Wayne Dyer. There's just people don't read much anymore, and I always tell them, because that's all who I'm usually around anyway. But especially now, my kids, I tell them, you learn stuff without realizing just by reading in volume.
By diffusion, yeah.
Yeah, just in volume. And you know what? The testament to that is, did you see that Netflix special on Bill Gates?
No.
That's the inventor of the coronavirus, apparently.
Yeah. Is it good?
His reading material on a daily basis, it's insane what
he's like Blackman.
I was jealous how much he could read in a day. His secretary would get all his books for him that he would be reading for the week, and she'd break it down for like a day. And he could read a book in a book like this in like 3 hours.
Oh, really? It take me like
and
3 weeks.
Retain everything.
Yeah, that's why he's a genius. Yeah.
Yeah, he truly is. Thank you, Bill, for the coronavirus.
Yeah, it'd take me 3 weeks to read that book. I have so many books that I want to read that I have no time to read.
That's why I told you I have tons of books in my house.
Well, I listen,
I
watch, I listen to podcasts on topics, and there's a lot of good YouTube channels out there with a lot of experts on certain topics that you can listen to also if that's what you're into and you just don't have the time. So when I'm cleaning snakes or when I'm driving, I'll listen to stuff because that's downtime for me that I can actually be educating myself. And I take advantage of that. I do. I don't sit in the car and I just, I don't listen to music and just kind of zone out. I actually, I listen to podcasts. So once again, just don't waste this time that you are home. Okay. Because I promise you, you will emerge from this quarantine, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and you will be better and you will have an ability to make more money and to be better at what you do. And that's important. And you'll thank me afterwards. And like Chris says, it doesn't have to always be things. Don't read about video games if that's what you're into. You know what I mean? You can spend some time doing that, but spend some time doing something that is going to help you, also. And that's going to make you a smarter person. If you have issues with anxiety, then read books, spiritual books by Wayne Dyer. That's going to alleviate that, rather than smoking weed, to do it, because that's just numbing your pain, and there's different ways of learning to cope with life, because that's what we do. We're all here and we all have our own issues, and there are better ways to cope than to just numb yourself into existence. And, and we've all gone through that stage. So don't fall into that trap of despair, because, I'm in the house, I got no gym, I got no food, got no money coming in. Yeah, it sucks. You know what? Before every great leap, spiritual leap, there's always a fall. Remember that. So this could be the fall. Now you have to come out of that fall and take a great leap. And on that note, and on that positive note, remember, guys, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
The truth hurts.
see you next week.